You do a lot of different art, I've noticed. A lot of fingers, but in many pies.
Sometimes I put my toes in there as well.
Your toes, pop a toe in a
people
pie.
object, so
What sort of pie do you pop a toe in?
I do it as sort of... sometimes I like to take the children of my enemies and bake them in a pie and feed it to them, but only if I'm in a Shakespearean play. And I'll dip my toes in there as I'm making it, just for good measure.
Intro music. Intro. Yes, intro. Bass. Intro. Tiny guitar. There he is. Hello, and welcome to... No, not the strings. Turn the strings off. Better. Now, volume down a bit. Good. Okay. Hello. Actually, fuck it. Get rid of it. Welcome to the Unsociable Actor, episode 5. I'm your host, Paul Tonkin, and yes, I am an actor and vegan who is not, drumroll, on social media. Ovs. Anyway, you know this already, so enough of me, and let's just cut to the guest intro. Unsociable actor. So, this week's guest. Who's it going to be? It could be literally anyone. Yes, it could be literally anyone, but they still have to agree to come onto the show. So with that in mind, please welcome today's guest, Edalia Day. Edalia Day is a transgender spoken word artist, animator, actor, and theatre maker. Busy. Trained at Lecoq and Alra. Double the training. Her theatre combines comedy, live music, and interactive projection mapping. Technical. She's played roles as diverse as Malvolio, Queen Elizabeth, Pinocchio, a crime-fighting witch, and Mozart. She's currently making a trans version of Pericles, an animated YouTube sketch comedy show, and will soon be starring in The Venice Conundrum for BBC Radio 4. Awesome. If you want to know more, please follow the links on this episode. The interview. So allow me to introduce today's guest, Edalia Day. Can you give us a quick intro about yourself, what you're up to, what you do, and what's in the pipeline?
So I am an actor, theatre maker, spoken word artist, and animator, and sort of like projection mapper. I do like animation for theatre shows. Mm-hmm. I've been acting for 17 years. Yeah. And I know people listening will be like, oh, you don't look old enough for that. But that's true. And so I do mostly, as an actor, I do mostly children's theatre, Shakespeare, and physical theatre. Mm-hmm. Sometimes all of those together. And then I do occasional like TV roles. And then I make my own shows, which are generally spoken word shows with interactive projection, that I sort of make animations and then interact with them in fun ways, with like poetry and then physical theatre and things. So yeah, those are the kinds of things that I do.
Beautiful. All the links will be in the bio to your website. You'll find some wonderful work, everyone. So let's crack on to what socials are you on?
So I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn.
You use it much?
For animation and motion design. Motion design is like business animation, like animated logos and things, which I do occasionally, but I haven't probably pushed myself in. But it's supposed to be good to do LinkedIn for that. But yeah, usually it just feels a bit businessy.
Yeah.
Here are the 7 sample solutions of how to sample your solutions effectively. And you're like, oh, I'll click on this. And
sample solutions.
I'll connect with David Grubbins, who is the head of sampling and solutions. And it's like, oh, yeah, I don't really know how it works. But recently I went on LinkedIn and it looked more like Facebook. And I think they must have changed it to make it more fun.
User-friendly.
Yeah, and it looked actually quite cool. And I was like, oh, maybe I'll use this more instead of all the hate places that I go to.
That's fair enough.
But yeah, so for me, Facebook is like my family and friends space where I'll sometimes post arty things. Instagram is where I do most of my stuff, like animation and things. And then Twitter is a place that I'll jump into and post something and then jump out and then occasionally get sucked into horrible political discussions with horrible people.
Yeah. That's where they lay.
Yeah.
Like trolls under a bridge. Edit. So, you seem to me, though, as an artist who allows their art to guide them down whichever path it needs to go down. Would that be true?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I sort of, as an artist, I started out as an actor, and then I went to study at Lecoq in Paris and learnt physical theatre. And most people, when they leave there, they start making their own shows. And I sort of just went straight back to acting. And then eventually I started making my own shows. And then I started using projection in my work. As an actor, I'd been in shows with projection, and it'd always been terrible and stressful, and everything had gone wrong. So it was like, well, when I make my own stuff, even though I did animation as a hobby, I was like, I'll never use projection. But then I was making Super Hamlet 64, which is about video games and Shakespeare, and I thought, well, if I was going to use projection in a show, this would be the show to use it. So I tried some out, and it was really successful. And then, since then I've just used projection in everything I've made myself, and I just really love it. And so, from there, over lockdown, I ended up doing digital things for different theatres and theatre companies, and now I've just got this wonderful palette of animation, illustration, poetry, acting, theatre making, and, when I have an inspiration or an idea, I can just go, what does this need to be, and where does it need to go?
As an artist, is that more freeing, having a larger palette?
Yeah, I really like it. It's tricky because people say you should focus on one thing and get really good at it, and then just, like in my 20s, people were like, oh, jack of all trades, master of none.
That's only part of the phrase, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember the rest of it. No, I can't remember. I'll put it in later on.
It's something like better that than a master of none, I think.
Better that than a master of one.
Of one, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just for the pedants out there, me included, the saying is, a jack of all trades is a master of none, but oftentimes better than a master of one.
But that aside, the idea behind that is like, oh. And so in my 20s, I used to just do loads of different things. I've got ADHD, and that I've recently discovered is a thing that also pushes me in the direction of doing lots of different things. I see so many things. I'm like, oh, I want to do that, I want to do that. I've just taken up Barbershop singing. I'm in a Barbershop choir that I've always wanted to do, and I did aerial acrobatics for a bit. I'm just always doing different things.
What's your vocal?
Well, so I'm trans, and I used to sing bass when I was younger. I used to be in my dad's choir, and I sang bass. And then when I came out as trans, I was like, oh, I don't want to sing bass, but my voice does this. Is this low voice, and I've got range. So I joined a local LGBT choir, and I sang tenor. And because I was like, well, I probably could have sang alto, but I was just insecure about things. So I sang tenor, and I sort of strained with it and found it difficult. And then now I've got into a better space of self-acceptance and things, and I've joined a female barbershop choir, and I was very much like, oh, I don't think they'll accept me because of my voice and the transness and all this sort of thing. And so it took a lot of encouragement to go, but they've been really supportive and lovely. And they were like, well, if you can sing the notes of, so they sing everything an octave up from the men pretty much, and they were like, well, here's the notes of our bass range. If you can sing that high, you can join the basses.
So good.
So I was like, I tried out, and I've been there, I've been accepted, and I had to audition, and I got in, and now I'm a part of this choir, and so I sing female bass. But I find it fun because I used to be bass, and then I was like, oh, I'm trans, and I feel dysphoria at being a bass. I don't really like that anymore. And then now I'm part of this female choir, and I'm singing bass. And it's like, I've travelled from bass to bass.
I like that.
But yeah,
That's brilliant.
That feels really good.
It is. That is beautiful. It really is.
What was the question?
The question, I believe.
I'm such a waffle house. I just go all over the place. The point I was going to make is I used to be called Jack of all trades, master of none in my 20s, but now I'm in my 30s. I'm Jack of all trades, master of several.
It's a sneaky edit. 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 It's a sneaky edit to cover shit.
Yes, we're having a jolly good time. So I suppose what I'm saying now, Does that make for more work on social media?
So yeah, on social media, it's I find it's good because it keeps my feeds varied. I'm not just a one trick pony, one track mind. I don't know what the phrase is.
One track minded pony.
Yeah, I'm not just riding a one track minded pony. I'm a stallion of many mares. I don't know what that means. I don't even identify as a stallion, so I don't know.
Exactly. Let's.
Okay, so I just do lots of things. I think it's quite good. Instagram's my main place where I post stuff, and sometimes I'm posting animation, sometimes I'm posting poetry, sometimes I'm posting theatre productions and things, different things. And I have thought before, maybe I should keep this just an animation space because I get most of my animation work from word of mouth and people just seeing things on social media, mostly Instagram. So I was like, maybe I should keep that there. But then I've ended up with a following of people from all these different disciplines, and it's nice just to be. I'm a varied person who does all these different things, and here is me. I think something that people connect with on social media is the person. Even if you're a theatre company, even if you're a animator, if you're a specific thing, sometimes people make the mistake of hiding behind we at Excelsior Productions are putting on a show and blah blah blah. People aren't so much interested in that as they are as hey, I'm Gary, I'm the head of Excelsior Productions and I'm putting on this. They really want to know the people,
The personal touch.
yeah. So that it's showing myself as a varied artist who does loads of different things in all my social media spaces.
So it's a useful tool.
I do see social media as a tool there's niceness in it and there's positivity, but I think the negative outweighs the positive. But it's a necessary tool for marketing a lot of the things that I do.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
Well, this is a nice chitter-chatter.
Oh, yes.
Do go on.
So do you think your work, your personal work that you create, could reach out to as many people without social media?
well, no, I suppose I definitely reach more people through social media. I suppose it depends, like, what the purpose of each thing is.
Yeah.
A lot of the things I put on social media and reach people with is more about getting work. It's more about saying, it's like advertising myself as a person who does things. So, and I suppose people are experiencing my work through that, which is kind of a wonderful thing, actually.
Yeah.
But it's more, my aim isn't to reach people as much as it is to, my aim isn't to share my art so much as it is to advertise myself, which sounds a bit cold, I suppose.
No, I suppose that's what it is. It is a work advertising tool for the artist rather than, just going on and friending people.
But yeah, no one would have seen my animations
That's
if
the
I
thing, your
hadn't
animation-
posted them on Instagram.
Exactly. So your animations very much, not hindered, but are very much helped by social media, I would say.
Yeah, it's also interesting the difference between the different platforms and followings. Like, I see, so I've got videos on YouTube, and that's to me the place for the videos. Like my animations. I've started doing an animated trans comedy sketch series. I've got one episode up. It's called Cancel Me Please.
That is very funny, by the way.
Thanks. And so now I'm making another one. I've been doing voiceover sessions with trans artists for this other one, which is about this transphobe who tries to misgender some trans people and then accidentally gets their genders right and validates them instead, and all the hilarity that ensues. So that's something I'm working on at the moment. And so I put that on YouTube, and then I was like, well, maybe I'll put a clip of it on Instagram, and then I was like, I'll just put the whole thing on Instagram, because really it's just about, like, because often it's like, well, I put it on YouTube and then maybe I link to it in places and say, check it out on YouTube, but I want all the traffic to go to YouTube rather than to other places.
Yeah.
And then sometimes I find that actually the videos on YouTube maybe get, I don't get a huge amount of watches on my YouTube channel, so maybe they get like 100 views, but then maybe the video on Instagram got 300 views. And it's like, but I devalue that because, but that's only Instagram, whereas this one's YouTube, which is, it's interesting how you...
But I would say that Instagram's the bigger hitter with that, for hits, for people to see your work. YouTube seems like a terrestrial channel now,
Yeah, it does feel like that.
which I kind of like, but it's definitely not a quick hit and quick fix like Instagram is, or Twitter, I suppose.
No, it's more. It feels like a longer game. YouTube.
Yeah. What looks like success for you on social media? Is it followers, likes? What are your social media goals, if you have any?
Yeah, so for me, social media is very much, like I said, a tool. It's about getting jobs, about getting work. It's about people seeing my things. I suppose I get delusional dreams of becoming internet famous.
Don't we all?
Or I say something to someone on Twitter and then it blows up and people are like, "Oh my god, Edalia, you're such a genius, you're so incredible." And I'm like, "What, me? Well, maybe you should check out my body of work here." And they'll go, "Oh, wow, she's so talented and amazing." But that's probably not how it would actually go. You get viral and then people would send a lot of hate to you and you'd go, "Oh god, this is actually..." You hear about all these people who get like internet famous and then they're like, "Oh god, I've got so much hate mail now and it's really affected my mental health."
Yeah.
And so I guess that's my goal, to get to the point where I'm so successful that I get a lot of hate mail.
I want physical hate mail for the
and
post.
people dox me and stuff, and then I have to move house, and everything's miserable. But then I can think to myself, "You asked for this, Edalia."
If you can't get the tone, this is sarcasm. everyone.
Oh yeah, hashtag sarcasm.
This is an Overindulgent. Do you actually have separate accounts, like personal and professional ones?
For a while, I've only used social media to market myself. And some of my friends have gone, "I just want to see stuff about you." And I've gone, well, if it wasn't for marketing myself, I would just quit social media.
Yeah, just come round and see me, maybe.
Yeah, just
call
come
me
and
up,
give me
say
a
hello.
phone call, send me a text message.
Email me, weird,
Yeah.
but do it.
Yeah, and so when I was making theatre work, I really struggled initially with social media and trying to market. A lot of people, when they do marketing for shows, they'll just be like, "Hey, see my show. Hey, I got 5 stars in this thing. Come and see this. Oh my god, this thing." People get really bored of that. And then I got advice from producers who said that like only 20%, I think, of what you post should be the sell. Should be, "Hey, come and see my show. Here's what I'm doing."
Yeah.
The other 80%, it should be all kinds of other stuff. There's this really great social media marketing theatre maker, I've forgotten his name, terrible, but he says you need to go, what can I give people of value that isn't my normal work on social media, and you need to go, what can I enjoy, because you're going to be on social media loads posting all this stuff, so you need to do stuff that's fun. If it's not fun, you can't find something you enjoy, just stop, there's no point in it. So that's the advice I got. And so and also I got advice as a theatre maker, looking at your company, even if you're just one person, and thinking, what are your values? What do you want to do? So I came up with this thing of what I want to contribute on social media, which is transgender positivity, sharing my art and animation and all that kind of stuff, just poetry, just to be like, hey, enjoy this. And also sharing honest, behind the scenes talks, vlogs, basically, about the process. Because so often this world is full of, check out my show, oh my god, I got 5 stars, this is brilliant, everything's wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm at Edinburgh, I've seen this stuff. And I think the thing that really hit it for me was going to Edinburgh and sharing this stuff and saying, hey, show's going well, I'm finding it really hard, it's quite an alienating experience, and just being really honest. And people really connected with that. And part of that is me going, well, I'm doing this to connect with people as a tactic for my social media, which feels a bit disingenuous.
Yeah.
But it's become sort of part of my brand of what my social media is for. And I feel like it's generally a really positive thing that I'm giving to the world, this sharing of things.
What? Mum, I'm doing an edit. Oh, ruined that.
Right. Have you ever Have you ever
Have you ever felt like this? When strange things happen, when you're going round the twist.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Great, we can keep that.
But really though, have you ever been cast via social media? Have you had any evidence of casting directors scanning your socials?
Yeah.
Ooh.
So I didn't used to think it really happened, but I suppose it's being trans. Being trans is a weird thing because for ages the only place I wasn't openly trans was in my career, because I was like, well, if I come out as trans, that's just going to mean no more roles, because there just weren't really any trans roles.
Yeah.
Like I'm not like a passing trans person. I sort of look very transgender. I mean, whatever that means. But so I'm not. Some trans people would just be like, yeah, just cast me as a cis person, cast me as a cis woman, cast me as a cis man, whatever. But that's not really a space for me in terms of casting. So when I came out in the industry, I did close a lot of doors. But on the other hand, occasionally now there are huge jobs in a Netflix series or something, and they're looking for a trans actor, and there aren't loads of trans actors, so they'll look on social media and they'll look all over the place, and they'll ask smaller agents who they normally wouldn't approach, which is great, but it just means my career's shifted. And yeah, sometimes people are looking look on Twitter and ask around and look on those sorts of things, and I think there was a casting for something. I don't know if I should mention. I won't talk about what it was. Because there was a casting for a big Netflix TV series, and my agent put me up for it, but also they found me on social media, and I think that helped.
They contact you personally on social media?
Yeah, or they. I think it was more like they were asking around about trans actors, and someone recommended me, and then they were like, "Oh, great!" and they looked at my stuff, and I'm like,
Okay. Alright.
I think they felt a lot of pride. So like, yes, we found this undiscovered person. Undiscovered.
Been working for 18 years.
Yeah, for 18 years. So, but yeah, so that sort of stuff happens. Also, for my trans animation thing, I thought, well, I don't want to just hire the trans people I know who are actors, because that's mostly in the theatre world. I want to find all the trans voiceover artists, and so I put call outs on Twitter and Facebook, and said, hey, does anyone know any trans voiceover artists? I want to find more people for this and other projects. I got like on Facebook there were a few mentions, on Instagram a couple of people mentioned stuff in the comments, and then on Twitter it just got retweeted loads, and I got about 100 different people. I had no idea there were all these great trans voiceover artists, and it makes a lot of sense, I suppose, because you can just do that from a space in your home. It's very flexible. You don't have to worry about the dysphoria or discrimination of different casting directors or all that as much as maybe you do normally. And it was like, great. So I've been found, and not very much, but through casting directors.
We have one by quite a big company. So,
well, yeah.
So.
So that's the thing. And then, and also I found
You found
loads of great artists through Twitter. So
so you can finish the rest of your your comedy show as well.
yeah, totally.
That's really good, because there's so many people that I find it is just so much noise. It's very difficult to navigate through it all. But to be able to do that is.
But I don't think
quite
that would
positive.
happen if I wasn't a niche
category
that's
the
not
noise
found elsewhere. Like, I don't think any of the times I sort of gave up writing to casting directors. When you're at drama school or wherever, they say, oh, you need to just write to us, and I get thousands of replies, but I remember this one person who wrote to me several times, and then eventually I cast them in Lord of the Rings or something. And it's like, great, yeah, but I spent like 10 years just writing, getting nothing, no response, and I just realised it was just such a time and energy sink that was really not worth it, for me at least.
Yeah.
I mean, now when I'm in something, I will email a few people and go, hey, check me out in this thing, but I just keep that as a one-off sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, social media still hasn't taken over the professional way of approaching someone.
Yeah.
It's a different medium. What makes you tick as an actor outside social media?
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up, because I think that so much of acting, so much of theatre is a very it's like water and oil, the kind of internet and theatre. It's such a live experience. You go somewhere and you're there seeing the performance, and a lot of the performances that I do, there's no fourth wall. You often talk to the audience. There's often live music and performance and puppetry and all these kinds of things, and it feels like a kind of celebration of people together in a space, and you can't get that in TV and film or on social media. And I know that sounds a bit sort of old and fuddy-duddy, being like, oh, you can't get that in the
It's
theatre,
just that's
you
the
know,
medium
sort
that
of
is.
thing.
You know, different mediums have different rules and different things you get out of it.
It's also interesting, this is a totally different point, but
Go for it.
it's interesting the way, okay, in theatre spaces, there's often like this drive to bring people into the theatre and get people engaged in the arts and all this kind of stuff. And often people in the theatre are very ignorant of the actual artistic output of social media that happens organically. Memes, for example, TikTok dance crazes, all sorts of TikTok like creative things that sort of spiral out. A lot of theatres has no knowledge of this, and then will try to sort of fabricate some sort of thing. I feel like it would be great if theatre was more in touch with social media in that kind of respect.
Yeah, that
Because
was.
there's just so much art that people don't know about. Another thing, the Barbershop that I've got into.
Are you in a barbershop?
Yeah, so... yeah, did I mention it?
No, I don't think you did.
So basically...
It is awesome, though.
There's these conventions. I didn't know anything about this. It's very American, but really gorgeous. It's this whole world, and the people, sometimes, you know, they do these songs and it's like, we're just singing this song really beautifully. And sometimes they make a huge dramatic 10-minute saga with puppetry, and maybe not puppetry so much, but like moving boards. People come on with moving boards, and most of the people in these choirs are not professional performers. They're accountants or whatever. They work in all sorts of other fields, and then they come for this one thing of the year. It kind of reminds me. I'll probably lose my Barbershop credentials, but it reminds me of the Mechanicals from A Midsummer Night's Dream. But they are good. You know, these people are phenomenal.
They're committed to what they're doing.
But it's so like, we are going to put on this play, and this is going to be incredible, and there's also this element of the ramshackle in it, and coming on with all these sets and things, and a lion comes on and chases people and all this sort of stuff, and it's this little 10-minute or 5-minute segment of joy and abundance that people have been working towards for the whole year for this one performance, and some of them are just masterful and wild, and I would never have known about them until I got into Barbershop, and I don't think any of the theatre world knows about them. And like, social media is similar. There's so many things happening from people who aren't, like, in inverted commas, artists or actors or in the world that we know, this small world of theatre and film and all these sort of things. So many things happening in little niche pockets that are just so beautiful and wonderful, and
Well, so life finds a way, to quote to quote Jurassic Park. That
art finds a way.
Yeah, social media is made by humans, and you know, there is beauty in what we do, and like I say, you don't have to be theatre or actor. You can just be creator, and it's good to be seen, you know, and heard, and validated, I suppose, in that respect. As what you're doing is art as well. Yeah, that's beautiful.
It reminds me of the Peter Brook thing. Oh, that sounds so...
Oh, the kind of...
I can take an empty space and call it a bare stage. Someone walks across that space while someone's watching, and that's all that's needed for an act of theatre. It's like, but what if I get no likes?
Yeah.
A quick poem. This is an edit. Is it? Yes, it is. Thank you.
We're very lucky because Edalia has agreed to perform some of her poetry. Would you like to introduce it and perform it now?
Yes, okay. It does sound like we're very lucky.
Very lucky.
She's going to inflict some poetry on us. Okay, so this is a poem I wrote in lockdown, and it was about the industry and how full on it can be, and how you can really easily burn yourself out. And it ties into the sort of social media thing, because you're just constantly on it. saying, hey, check out my stuff, check out this, check out this. And it could just be a railroad thing. And it plays on the sort of Peter Brook empty space quote thing.
Okay.
So, I can take a bare space and call it an empty stage. Fight tooth and nail for someone to walk across that space while you're performing in it, and that's all that's needed for an act of desperate theatre. My name is Edalia Day, and I am a desperate theatre maker. Desperate for funding, frantically booking, building a tour, telling everyone, buy it now, waiting for answers while hiring. Don't get your funding, then watch it all topple down. Working for free for 6 months to a year in the hope you get paid for the hope you get. Spend it on marketing, budgeting, financing, publicity. Buy it now. Boggled by budgets. When all's said and done, would it be cheaper to pay them to come? Desperate producers make frantic performers, make building a story feel stuttered and cluttered. You spill on the stage in a spatter of claps, then you cut up your heart till the audience laps it up. And you live off that. My name's Edalia Day, and I am a theatre maker.
Woo! One clap.
Thank you.
But that is everyone in the room clapping. So
You can, layer that up.
Thank you so much for that. Just a quick wrap up. I'll ask you some very quick questions. Yes or no? Could you do your job without social media? Oh, it's not a great question.
I could do my job without social media. I would get a lot less work, and social media doesn't really help me get acting jobs.
Fair enough. Well, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks very much.
Thank
It's
you.
been lovely to chat.
Bye.
Bye.
So thank you for listening. If you made it this far, I'd just like to say one thing. Could you please subscribe? It will help with any other episodes that I make, and it shows a lot of love. And we need a lot of love in the world. Sing it. No, I didn't mean actually. No. Stop. No, I said. No. Shh. Thank you. Stop. Why does it sound like an intro to something? No, we're ending the podcast. No, this is the end. The end. Stop. Stop the music, just the bass. Thank you. Goodbye.